In this project, we're going to create this animated text bubble that is a very, very popular effect people use when showing what people are texting on screen. So you can follow along with this project called texting, or you can just bring in the texting video file and create it from scratch. So to start, let's just bring in that texting.mp4 file and drag it into a new composition. So what we want to do is first create this first sort of bubble, and then we'll add our text to it. So to create a bubble, what I'm going to start out with is the rounded rectangle tool. Click off of any layer in your timeline, so you're creating a shape, and let me change my stroke to 0 and change my fill to white. And then let's just create this nice little bubble. Cool. So to create that little, the little tip of the bubble, what I'm going to use is the pen tool. Let me zoom in so I can see a little bit better. And just using the pen tool, I'm just going to click and create sort of another just little tip like that. And close it down. It's fine. Cool. So that looks pretty darn cool. I can go in here, and if I want to make any changes to the path, I can make it a little bit more rounded, perhaps. Yeah, that looks, I like that a lot. Cool, so let me just rename this as bubble. And then let's add some text. So using the text tool, I can type in, what did I say in this other one? Meet me at the donut shop at 3. I was guessing what this guy was texting from this video clip. Okay, so meet me at the donut shop at 3, ... Okay, now let's just change this, make this smaller. Gonna make it black. Going to turn off the stroke by just clicking and dragging this, making sure that's at 0. And let me see, for this one, yeah, I use upper and lower case, so turn off all caps and put it sort of in the center and maybe make it a little bit bigger. Cool. Okay, so now we have our text. Let's make it a little bit closer together. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Cool, so the first thing that we can do is animate this being popping on like so. So that's just a rotation animation and a scale animation. So first I want to parent the text to the bubble. So take our parent pick whip and drag it to the bubble. And then for the bubble, if we rotate it by pressing R, we can rotate it down. But I want to make sure that the anchor point is at the very end of this little tip. So with the pan behind tool, let me find my anchor point. It's kind of hard to see. It's right here. Let me just put this down at the very bottom of this tip, okay? So let's set a rotation for 0 right here at 1 second, and then go back in time and rotate down, like so. Then press S to bring up scale. At 1 second, set a scale to 100%, and then go back and set it to 0. So that kind of pops on, but it doesn't pop on with as much pizzazz as this one. See, this one, it kind of bounces on. So first, let's press U twice to bring up both keyframes. Easy ease them by pressing F9 on the keyboard. That helps, but it's not amazing. So click the graph editor. With the speed graph, let's just select both keyframes and drag them in. So this adds that pop that I'm always adding. But I also want it to kind of pop on and then shrink. So see how this pops on? It over rotates and overscales and then rotates back and scales down. And that can be done with the value graph. So if we click on scale, we click on the keyframe on the right, what we can do is take the handle and drag it up. So this is going to actually make it go bigger than 100% and then scale down. And then if we take the rotation, click on the second one, and then we click the handle and drag down, it's going to rotate from 107 degrees to -7 and then back to 0. Hey, that looks pretty darn cool, I think. Okay, so that is our animation of the bubble. Then we want to animate on our text, and that's actually very simple to do in After Effects. That is using the typewriter effect. So typewriter. So we have typewriter right here under animate in. So go to right when this pops on, around 1 second, and then drag the typewriter effect on here. If you press U on your keyboard with this layer selected, you see 2 keyframes for this animator that was just added for the range selector. So it's going from 0% to 100%. And basically what that's saying is that it's animating on from 0% of the letters to 100%. So if I change this 100 at the end, so let's just move that keyframe right there and turned it to 50, it would only animate on 50% of the letters, right? So I undid that. So this is pretty cool. I might want it to start sort of animating on a little bit earlier. So let me take them, move them a little bit earlier so they're animating it on as the bubble pops up. One thing that I don't like about this though is that the text goes on all at the same pace. And when you're texting, it goes on sort of sporadically. So you might text, meet me at the donut shop, and then there might be a pause, and then at 3, and then a pause, and then ... So what we can do is basically animate the time. So let's go to right when the donut shop is on, set a keyframe, so that's at 76%. Let's take this to the left and then copy it and paste it. So now there's this pause. So meet me at the donut shop. Let's actually make it even faster. Drag those to the left. Meet me at the donut shop. Pause. Pause a little bit longer. And then at 3, and then we're gonna send another keyframe. There's gonna be another pause. So let's copy this keyframe at 91%, paste it. So now there's these pauses that make it a little bit more organic. Yeah, see, I like that. Meet me at the donut shop at 3, ... And this guy's like totally picking his beard or his nose, which is kind of funny. Cool, so that is cool. And then what we did here was we just had it fade off. It kind of rises up and fades off as another text comes in. And I thought that was just kind of a cool way to transition to the next text. So first what I'll do is go to after this text goes on, press P for our position of the bubble, set a position keyframe there, and then go forward about a second, and then move it up. And then what I'm going to do is also press T for the bubble. At the very beginning of that position animation, set the opacity at 100%. Press U to bring up all of our keyframes so that we can see where it goes all the way up. And then at this keyframe, decrease the opacity to 0. So that's cool, but when you parent things, opacity doesn't affect the parenting. So even though the position of the text moves, the opacity of the text doesn't change. So I'm going to have to copy these 2 opacity keyframes by dragging over them, copying them, Command C, then clicking on my text and pasting them, Command V. So now both of them fade off at the same time. And if I press U on my keyboard, you can see those 2 keyframes for opacity are there. Okay, so when this pops up, we want our other bubble to pop on with whoever is texting back that says, sounds good, nom nom nom. Okay, so what we can do is just duplicate the bubble. So duplicate, put this on top, press U, and what I'm going to do is delete the scale and rotation keys at the beginning. Okay, then I'm going to drag this over to the right and press U or P when I have bubble selected, because I want this to rise up as the bubble is rising off. So here when the bubble 1 is off, let's set a position keyframe for this this one. And then over here, let's drag it down. Okay, and we're going to fade it on. So set a keyframe for 100% here, and then 0% at the beginning. Okay, that's cool, but this thing is not the right orientation. So we want it to be flopped. So to flop it so that the point of the bubble is on the right, right click, go to transform, and click flip horizontal. So now it's horizontally flipped. Now the problem is that because we flipped it, now the position is all out of whack. What I can do is use the anchor point, which is our saving grace in all of these situations, and drag it over to the right. So using the anchor point, I can drag this over to the right. And then maybe I want to just drag the whole layer over to the right so it's staggered just a little bit. So press U. So see how the keyframes are now staggered just a little bit. And then change the color of it so that it's something different, maybe like a blue, so that we see that it's different than him texting, so we can see that's from someone else. The other thing too is that I want to drop the opacity actually of this bubble. So here the bubble is a little transparent. You can see the background. I like that a little bit. So actually what I'm going to have to do is press T. And for this keyframe right here, set it at, let's try 75. Yeah, that works. So now for this bubble, we'll set this keyframe where it's 100% to 75. And this one as well to 75. Okay, so it stays at 75. And then let's add our text. So take our text tool. Sounds good. Nom, nom, nom. And for this one, I didn't have it typing on because it makes more sense that it would just appear with the text. You don't see someone writing to you, typing it out. So here, when it's already on the screen, let's parent it to the bubble 2. And then let's copy and paste all of this opacity. So all 4 opacity keyframes, copy them, and paste them to the text. Maybe let's make the color of this shape a little bit lighter. Still want it to be blue, but just a little bit lighter. Meet me at the donut shop at 3. Sounds good. Nom, nom, nom. You know, maybe you want it to be a little bit more of a pause. Something like that. You can play around with it. Cool. So this is a basic sort of text animation, something that a lot of people you'll see in real world projects and real world TV shows, commercials, really everywhere you're seeing these kind of text bubbles. Now you can get fancy, you can add different effects, change the bubble style so it's a little bit different, change how the text appears, the font, everything like that. But now you know the basic process and how to come up with something that's fairly clean and professional. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in another project.